What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 67. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End. Thrown off a little bit, just noticed my co-host name here on the stream. I'm joined by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. It's Ian Me Show. We call him E, a.k.a. La E James, a.k.a. Sebastian Driussi, a.k.a. Easterdamus, a.k.a. Pap E, O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Joe E, Chestnut, a.k.a. Ethan Hemley, a.k.a. Ian Stonkel. E, six-pack of goals against our two biggest rivals and giving no goals back in return in the span of 4 days. I don't think I have to ask this, but I will anyways. How you feeling?
I'm doing well. I was thinking earlier today about recording the pod before the Dallas game and sitting there and being like, man, we could really be feeling terrible come Sunday. And to feel like this after just beating up our little brothers was fantastic. We were up till, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was a late one.
The homies came through. We celebrated. We smoked. We drank. We did a little too much. I fell asleep on top of your dog. Yeah, but I'm feeling great. What a win. What a night. I was also just thinking, sometimes you go into that rewatch and you're just dreading it. And you're like, I'm about to put myself through this again.
Yeah.
It was a fun rewatch.
Yeah. Two of them this week. I got nothing else to add in that regard. It was a lot more fun to watch these two matches back this week than some of the matches we've had over the last month. And yeah, man, we celebrate all victories, but when you get the back-to-back Copa Tejas victories, put yourself in the pole position. Austin FC can clinch Copa Tejas with a win against FC Dallas. Again, something that they have not done in Frisco yet is get a full 3 points. So again, this team is breaking all kinds of new ground, whether it's on a negative side of things. We see new records of negativity around the fan base at times this year, or doing things like beating FC Dallas for the first time in the regular season in any venue at Q2 on Wednesday. And then, as MLS put on their official Twitter, the first time that Austin has beat Dallas and Houston in consecutive matches in club history. So again, it's a short club history, but it took a little bit too long for us to accomplish that for sure. And glad that is off our backs as well. Anything else that you want to add before we get into this glorious recap here?
I'm just ready to get into it.
All right, let's do it.
I got cast on both my middle fingers. They're resting from last night.
Oh man, there are sleeper agents in the North End. We're getting pictures of us. We're tagged in pictures of us, just the antics, screaming at Steve Clark. I saw Fudge got in there. There's a double bird of Fudge going around.
Oh my God. And you know what's great is that they probably have 300 more pictures, and those are just the good ones. And the other ones are us just being ridiculous.
Oh man. Let's talk the lineup real quick. Same 11 from Wednesday night, which I think was good to see. I did think Emiliano Rigoni was going to get back in there and start. He didn't, and that ended up being a great thing. Ethan Finlay in there on the right wing. We'll talk more about that position and how that could be shaping up going forward as we go here. But obviously, same 11. You got Bradley Scott in net, Johnny G, Julio, Rado, and Nick Lima on that back line. The Danny Owen pairing. And you've got Seba, Ethan, and Diego, and Gyasi Zardes up top. One change on the bench, though, and that was, I think I said to you in the car when we saw the lineup, Rodney has turned fully back into Rodney. Rodney off the bench here, Sofiane Jafal in, and the rest of that bench, Kip Keller, Johan Valencia, Hector Jimenez, Emiliano Rigoni, Matt Bersano, Adam Lundqvist, Will Bruin, and Maxi Ruti. So takeaways from the lineup or reactions when you saw it pre-match?
Loved it. Said last pod, Emmy might have fucked around and lost his job. Mm-hmm. And coach touches on it after the game. If you're out there, you're performing and you're playing well, you're going to play. And Emmy has had a really rough stretch here after some promising performances, none of which I would say were otherworldly or something that we could really just hang our hats on and be like, yeah, this is what he's fully capable of. But Ethan just brings an energy right now. And like we talked about that straight line running that he brings, and he's got confidence right now. And if there's one thing that Emmy does not have, it is confidence.
Yeah.
So I love the 11. We said you got to put your choice lineup out there. We did, and we hung it on them boys.
Yep, put it on them. And before the match started, obviously Pride Month coming to a close here, final week of June. But Team Tifo, of course, just outdid themselves again.
Yeah.
Very cool. Marsha P. Johnson Tifo there. And we had a couple folks post links kind of giving more background to what that Tifo was, the meaning behind that. And it was cool to learn more about that. Mm-hmm. And so something I know I retweeted those last night when those folks sent them to us. Appreciate that, and retweet those again after we get done recording here. Because I imagine that not everybody in the stadium was really up on what was going on there with that Tifo. But very, very cool. Well done. And can't wait to see the next one. It's always great. Always good work done.
Yeah, it's impressive.
There. Yeah,
it's definitely impressive.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into it here. Honestly, dude, one thing on the rewatch that surprised me, and maybe that's just because, our adrenaline is going, 110%. We're pumped up, especially when the orange team comes to town. The first 20 minutes of this match was pretty damn boring. Austin controlled the game, I think 69, which was very nice, percent possession through the first 20 minutes here, but not a ton to show for it. 8th minute, Finlay wins a long throw after he got in behind the Houston back line. Lima takes it, of course, on that right side, and Austin's able to get a second ball that falls to Driussi at the top of the box, and he tries to kind of half volley it and sends it into the south end. But first 10 minutes, that was really the most notable chance for the good guys. Mm-hmm. 8 minutes later, little run of Houston momentum here. And, man, when you look at that momentum chart, not a ton of orange last night, but there was a little blip on the radar here, 16th minute. Amin Bassi, your boy, switches play from right to left for Quinones out there on the left. And he goes right at Nick Lima, who kind of forces him toward the end line, ends up getting some help from Ethan Finlay to corral him out or towards that byline. Quinones crosses it in right to the mitts of Brad Stuver. Then Austin on the ball a minute later. I think it may have been off the restart there from the catch by Brad. Ache shoves Owen to the ground. Both he and Ben Olsen flip out. And then on the rewatch, commentators agreeing that it's soft, and I was like, man, what are you guys looking at? I think we had the best angle live there in the north end because everybody 123, 22, 24, everybody saw it. 2-hand shove. I mean, forearm shiver through Owen's back. And look, maybe the kid sold it, but it's absolutely a foul. I don't know what
Ache is not a small guy either.
No, Owen's not that big.
Yeah, Owen's not even a man.
Yeah, dude. Dan Gargan, I think, was the color commentator last night in that pairing. Look, and I'm biased, I know, and also maybe I'm spoiled from Adrian Healy, but there were multiple times last night where I was like, "Yo, what are you talking about, dude? Did you used to play for Houston?"
I found myself questioning myself after he said that because I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I was like, man, maybe I was just way too amped up at the game and obviously wanted the call there. He does get the ball low, but he just shoves him in the back.
Yeah.
like pushes them full on. So I don't understand what they are upset about there. I'm glad you said Amin Bassi played. I didn't even know he was on the field. He was horrible.
Yeah, he was not good.
Atrocious.
He was not good. And I know you love to see that. 19th minute, another Houston buildup here. Again, kind of in this like 3-4 minute stretch of Houston momentum. Steris gets it down the left side here to Quinones. He switches the play all the way to the right to Franco Escobar, who is one of their better players. He combines with Corey Baird, and then Baird drops it out to Sviatchenko. And then he has some deep service that finds Ache for a headed attempt that goes wide. And then the flag was up anyways. But again, Houston kind of getting into that final third. Next minute, Owen lets a pass get away from him, and Houston takes it, and they're off and running. Ball gets slid up the middle to Aoyu, who nearly gets past Julio. Kind of gets past Julio, but Julio with a great last-second tackle. Takes it off his foot. And again, I've noted here the Austin possession, but I'll take this time to say it was not Owen Wolff's best match.
Nope, definitely not. With that particular play there, we got kind of lucky that the initial ball to Aoyu was late, because if that dude's got a step on you, he is beating
you. Ain't catching him.
Yeah. But I do want to say we pulled them off sides quite a few times, which is a testament to the backline communication and cleaning things up. And that's great. That was encouraging to see, because that wasn't just that first play with Ache is not the only time that it happens in this game. So that was super encouraging to see. Yes, Owen struggled. He did not play well, but plenty of other guys did. And that's fine with me.
Sorry, I was getting distracted by a few notifications here. And one that jogged my memory here, that our buddy Profe, I thought he had a pretty funny take on the spaces last night, saying that we played Houston last night because there was an H in Danny's pocket and an H in Owen's pocket, and no H's on the field for Houston. And those guys did well, man. Those guys did well on the defensive end, marking Ache, because obviously he is, with Coco Carrasquilla out. Herrera is the guy making everything go at this point for Houston.
He looks great. He's just really good.
Yeah, this one-time world-class player, and certainly a top-class player in this league still.
Yeah,
there's little doubt about that. So finally get rid of this, 4 or 5 minutes of gritting our teeth a little harder. 22nd minute, Austin cycles possession in the offensive half. Julio plays a great long ball. We've seen that before. Down the left to John Gallagher. Gallagher drops it back to Seba, and 10 whips in a cross that kind of caroms off a defender's head and right into the path of Ethan Finlay, who has the composure and the quick reflexes to nod it into the net. And they did check this for offside, but because that deflection from Seba's cross went off, I think it was Mikhail, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah.
Went off his head instead of Gyasi Zardes, so Ethan Finlay was not offside. And we will take that. And Austin scoring the first goal again at home. And man, you start getting maybe not the full 2022 vibes at this point, but like, we're getting wisps of it, right? There's a little bit of a stench of last year floating around. The party was on in the North End after that.
Oh, it was definitely on, and it goes without saying. Obviously, it feels great to score first.
Yeah.
So it was. So even though the first part of this game was a little bit boring before we have this goal here, you did see Austin being the aggressor. You did see Austin controlling the ball. And these services were coming in, and we capitalized here on one. And they look real good when Seba's the one playing them in there, because this, like, the trajectory, the spin, everything that he can just take into account in half a second and put the ball where he wants it to be. It's just, I love watching. I'll just be able to watch the rewatch again last night and just be like, God, this dude is so fucking good. It's awesome. Yeah. So Ethan, right place, right time, and a testament to how he plays, and just happy for him. Ethan Himley. Shout out H for the tape.
Oh yeah. So Austin takes the lead. Obviously, a lot of time left in this one. And you can tell, even at this early stage of the game, the heat is starting to get to folks, especially our boy Rado, who, again, I think clearly that shoulder is still bothering him. And we see that come into play a little bit later here. But there's definitely something to what we were speculating on Wednesday, that he was really struggling out there.
The air's
right about this time.
Yeah, the air's heavier, thicker than what he's used to playing in. So it
was a lot hotter last night than it was after the rain rolled through on Wednesday as well.
Absolutely.
So 26 minute here. Aliu chasing a long ball and just slams into Rado. And like, he went shoulder to shoulder. But I guess I'm just not clear on the officiating in a situation like that in soccer, where like you go, like it's an unnatural movement. I thought like you weren't boxing him out. Like that was a hit. That was like he was a receiver coming across the middle almost. And so I didn't personally understand why there wasn't a foul called there. I think that's the best explanation that I got, was that it was shoulder to shoulder contact. But what did you think about that? Because then there's another foul from Aliu right after this, and the fact there wasn't a card, I guess we say that on the restart after Stu picks up that ball, he just Aliu comes in and stomps Danny's foot.
Yeah.
At least Rivas blew a foul there, but like the fact that there was no card after the contact he just had with Rado, I didn't get that, especially with how card happy Rivas was on the night. I think 8 total yellow cards given out, maybe 7, but still, the fact that there wasn't one there, I was just a little perplexed. What did you think about that? Like, am I off base here in your eyes? Like, or do we both just not know?
I kind of equated it to when you're hooping and like you seal somebody with like a clearly like illegal screen if you were standing or setting it anywhere else.
Right.
And that's just kind of what I chalked it up to. Again, on the rewatch, the announcer guy's like, that seemed pretty soft. So I was like, wait, what? Are we watching the same shit? And I think, yes, so he hadn't given anyone a yellow at this point, right?
No.
So I think he was trying not to, but it was a physical game. It was a hard fought match, even though we dunked on him. Like, and it, it got a little chippy as well. A couple shots on Seba that we're not going to tolerate.
No.
Couple shots on him that were just not okay. So no card there. Whatever. Glad he called the foul. I think it was compounded because of what just happened.
Sure.
I
think that's fair. I guess my only criticism there, and I do think on the night as a whole, Victor Rivas and his crew had a good one.
I do.
But I just feel like maybe, again, if you're trying to let the guys play, it's a heated rivalry match. But you also you can also start to control the game and curb some of that so it doesn't escalate later.
But I thought he did. I thought he did.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought he did by talking to the guys.
That's
very
fair.
Calm. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, that's fair. 5 minutes later, here's the first yellow card. Sviatchenko took out Seba to stop the break. That was one for sure. Like, I would like to see, it doesn't have to happen every time, but on some of these really hard fouls that they put on our best player, and for better or worse, our captain, I would like to see a couple guys maybe run up and, get in somebody's face, especially some bum like that who just has no business putting a hit on one of the best players in the league. Then obviously we played advantage there.
Yeah, we're off to the races.
And Lima ends up getting it into the offensive third on the right, and Quinones runs through his back. And then Rivas comes back, gives the yellow to Sviatchenko. And that ensuing free kick sees Diego play kind of a short cross. Again, this was 5-6 yards outside the 18 on the right side. So not really a cross, but plays a ball in short to Julio. That gets deflected out for a corner. Diego takes that corner short and fairly quickly. And that gets cleared out, but Austin retains possession. Lima to Danny to Diego down that right side, and Diego slots it back towards Seba near the edge of the 18, still on that right side. And he whips it across towards that back post, and Gyasi Zardes is there. He heads it with power down into the ground, into the net, 2-0 Austin. That is 102 career MLS goals for Gyasi Zardes. He passes Taylor Twellman and goes into a tie for 10th all-time in league history, tied with Josef Martinez of Inter Miami, who we'll see next week. Man, before we talk about G and the goal, on the rewatch, we didn't see this because obviously we're partying, we're high-fiving, we're hugging everybody in 123. But in the water break that follows this goal, the Houston huddle, there's close-ups of them on the broadcast, and they are done. That game was done right then. Mm-hmm. Those guys were out of it, dejected, did not want to be there anymore. And that was good to see on the rewatch. Made me feel even better.
Yeah, they have 2 team huddles in this.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they do another one right at the end of half.
Okay.
Because people probably really, some people who weren't completely dejected in that huddle probably saw it on the other dudes' faces because they were cashed out. The Quinones. I
think it's the best we can do as white guys.
Lima matchup was a treat to watch all night. Nicky on defense, taking him on was fun. That kid, it's his first name's Nelson, right?
Yeah. Yes,
he's quick. He's good on the ball, and that matchup was a treat to watch. And Nicky got the better of him at the end of the day. So yeah, interesting set piece by Diego there to take that short. Mm-hmm. Wasn't sure how I felt about that. Mm-hmm. And then that corner getting whipped around back to Sebov with just masterclass ball again. And there he is. And he's doing precisely what we learned. I think was it our first year, and we're just like, yo, why are these dudes just dunking the ball into the ground on some of these headers? And you're like, oh, that's how you do it. Yeah. And I was like, shit, okay. And then he does it to, just perfection. And man, he even looked fast last night.
He did.
There was multiple times I was like, oh shit, he just put the Jets on right there. The dude's just a fucking class act. Top 10 all time now in goals. I don't know what anyone could say about him from a negative standpoint for who he is as a person, the way he approaches his craft, the way he does his job. He comes in, he works, he puts himself into positions to score. You don't get extra points for doing bicycle kicks. I don't know if people don't know that, but you don't get bonus points. So he is doing exactly what we want from him. I know we got some data, some numbers to throw out later, some advanced analytical North End podcast.
Shit, dude. We could just talk about it right now.
Why not?
I got it right here. I guess this ain't analytics. This is just your run of the mill fucking standard stats. Gyasi Zardes now the leading goal scorer for Austin FC in 2023. Of course, tied with John Gallagher, but also the leader, tied with Gally and Seba in terms of goals plus assists with 6. So it was fun to have the little back and forth with our buddy there in 123, who's giving Zardes a hard time. And now we've been having the last laugh over the last month or so. I forget his name, so I apologize for that. I know we've talked to them before. And love, our banter with them. But yeah, it's I like you said, I don't know what else people want out of this man. He's our leading scorer now. And if he continues on the pace that he's been at since early May, last 6-7 weeks or so. There's been a lot of games in that time. If he continues on this pace, he's gonna get us 10 goals. And look, is that fucking something to give him a crown for? No, that, but that's what we expected, right? And so if you just look at over the course of 34 games, he's still not he's not on pace for 10. Right, we are past the halfway mark. But if he continues this form, I'm pretty confident he's going to get double digits. And this is where we can go. Just interject one little stat that I wanted to bring up. His goals plus assists per 90 minutes this season is now 0.53. So a little over half a goal plus an assist per 90 minutes for Gyasi Zardes. His career rate is 0.51. So look, I'm not going to sit here and say that number proves that he hasn't lost a step, because we know that he has from his prime, but he is producing at his career rates right now. So that it's just extremely encouraging, and we'll talk about where the team sits in the table and what could possibly be coming over the next month leading up to Leagues Cup. But Gyasi Zardes is one of the brightest spots for this club over the last 6 weeks, and like we said after the goal was scored, Some of y'all were wrong, and that's okay. But like, let's come around on it, right?
Yeah.
Let's look, when new information is presented, sometimes we have to change our opinions.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of people that need to do that with Mr. Zardes right now.
Yeah, dude. And look, if you take into account the first part of this season, the first quarter, whatever you want to call it, we're just in the mud. We can't score a goal. You can see that when G has the right service, the goals come. And when we were beat up earlier and we had no Fagu, we had no Crack, we're playing with inferior talent. So the balls that he needs to get in order to finish and score weren't coming, or they just weren't good enough because they weren't coming from the foot of two extremely talented men. So it's encouraging. Getting to 10 goals would be awesome. And it just looks good right now. The crosses look good. I didn't hear anybody complain about crosses last night.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about Josh and his press conference. He took a couple of victory laps, and as he should. After this week, looking at Gyasi's game log here before we move on, just wanted to kind of get a clearer picture of what he's done over that stretch. So going back to May 17th, which was the away match at Seattle, that was G's first goal of the season. There have been, or he has appeared in 7 matches, and he has scored or assisted in 6 of those 7 matches. So one of the hottest goal scorers in the league over that span.
Correct.
And that's just a fact. So man, again, if he is even half of that, what he's been over the last 7 games, we're going to win more games than in the second half than we did in the first half. And
you gotta understand that G's a veteran. He's a veteran. Seba, a player he's playing with for the first time, they're still developing chemistry. They're still learning the nuances, the ins and outs of how the other guy likes to play. And it's encouraging, man.
Yeah. Well, and we score 6 goals this week, none of them off the foot of number 10.
Yep.
Which is, I think, a great sign because we know he's going to get his goals.
I agree. Right? And on the rewatch on this one, he could have scored again tonight.
Sure. Yeah.
Last night for sure. And he's had ones. I mean, he had one that was, first pass that was would have been that banger. Hell of a save. And that's just the game. But everything he does, his work rate last night, the positions that he puts other players in to be successful, the service, the delivery, tracking back on defense, the man does everything. Like, it's just a treat and a joy to watch. And I'm just like, honestly honored to be rooting for a dude who plays like that. And he plays with an intensity and passion, and he's not afraid to go, get in there, get a little chippy, muck it up. He throws his body around a little bit. I just love watching him play. And to your point, once he starts getting on the score sheet, if we can keep this rate up with the other guys, that's awesome.
Yeah, no question. And we'll see if that travels, because a trio of road games up next for our favorite team. And the thing about Seba too, he's not getting on the score sheet, but he's been involved in almost all 6 of these goals. Did he pick up an assist on the first one? I don't.
No.
Because the defender got that touch. But I think that's another thing. I think we've seen Seba over these last 2 games, in particular, drop back into more positions that we saw, maybe not necessarily last year, but positions that are making him more dangerous as a threat with his vision and his service, rather than being that guy consistently up there in the box next to Gyasi and being that other aerial threat that we saw against RSL when he came in, and SKC when he was up in the box a ton. He was even more all over the place against SKC, dropping into the horseshoe and then being up trying to sky for headers. We didn't see as much of that this week, and we found success with it. So again, whether that is, I don't think that's probably 100% on the coaching staff. I think that he is probably communicating to the coaching staff where he wants to be. Again, this is not just or most likely, it's never just the coaches go in and talk and then, okay, here's what we're going to do. there's some back and forth and give and take with the leadership on this team.
Mhm.
And so to see those guys kind of experimenting with that as we go is good to see. They're figuring things out.
Yeah, and I mean, even when he scored versus SKC, the biggest gripe that we had was that it just looked like he was pressing.
Yeah.
And he was trying to throw the cape on. And I understand why he was trying to do that. And not these last two games.
Yep.
Been fluid, been in the flow of the game, been finding their open man. So keep going, Crack.
Yep. All right, let's get back to it here. 37th minute. Zardes gets smashed in the face with the ball and ends up getting concussion tested on the field, goes off on the side and gets let back into the match shortly after. But that shit looked like it hurt. 39th minute. Here's a Gallagher red card. Caught Corey Baird in the face, kind of chasing down a ball there. I thought zero intent by Johnny there.
Yellow card.
Yeah. Sorry, did I say red card?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Oh, shit. Whoops. Yellow card.
Unfortunate one. His arm's just up there, clips him. And, they talked about it on the broadcast a little bit. And it's the same concept in the NBA. Anything up above the shoulders, you're getting penalized for it.
Yeah.
They got to keep people's heads safe. So no problem with it. Just unfortunate. And Johnny didn't seem like he was too upset about it.
No, he was, caught him. My bad.
Yeah.
And the ensuing free kicks, trying to find Steris on the back post, but he was offside. So to your point, that back line catching Houston out a couple times. And here, 42nd minute, man, Radovanovic makes his triumphant final stand. This man, and I know I have the replay right here, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this up because this is just glorious. I think it's Aliu out in kind of on Stuver by himself. Rado chases him down like this, like almost bicycle kick challenge that gets the ball out. And he stands up, and as the ball is still in play, he sees that it goes out of the dangerous area. And he stands up and turns towards the north end, gets the crowd going, pumping up the north end, and everybody rises to their feet. Houston keeps the ball. He turns around like, oh, shit. Like, Ache comes in and does kind of what he did a couple times in Houston. Turns Danny around, makes him look a little silly. Turns the other way, gets Seba and Julio at the same time. There's three Austin players on their ass in the box. Ache takes a shot. It's almost going to curve past Stuver, and Rado is right there for the deflection to get it out. So again, this was kind of his last, like I said, his last stand as a member of Red and Black. And I think this sequence here is what we're going to remember him by.
Yeah, a great way to be sent off right there. Laid it all on the line. He was tired. He got a busted shoulder, makes an incredible play, makes another incredible play. Stuver kisses him, I think, on the head or something.
Yeah.
He's
a little spank, little pat on the butt.
Yeah. And but the individual brilliance of Ache was on display there as well, but we don't need to touch on that too much. Super happy for Rado in that moment. And definitely, I think, how this fan base will ultimately remember him. Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about Rado here after the recap. 45th minute. Owen gets a yellow for taking out Ache.
Good foul.
Yeah, and look, I thought, and it looked like he and maybe some other members of the team were kind of pointing out, like, again, this is where I thought, like, if that's a yellow, and it should be, then Nelson should have got a yellow earlier. Again, I know I'm just harping on this, but had it in the notes, so I'm going to say it. 5th minute of stoppage time here. Yellow card to Artur, getting tangled up with Danny after the whistle. So again, the cards started flowing, and that continued throughout the rest of the match. Halftime, to start the second half, we get Thor Olfarsson, I believe is how you say that, their super draft pick from 2022. He comes in for Corey Baird. And then on the Austin side, Rado takes his leave, his final appearance as a member of Austin FC. And Kit Keller on, we saw him get, 7-8 minutes the other night against Dallas to close out that match, getting a full half here. And we'll talk more about Kip as we go. 48th minute here, Austin building up out of the back. Kip plays Zardes. Look, a progressive pass from Kip. We don't see that much, even like I feel like at FC2. So that was good to see. And you could also see, and this was something I was looking for more on the rewatch, because that back line was away from us in the second half. Pretty much any time this man touched the ball, did anything without making a mistake, his teammates were picking him up. Being like, yeah, hell yeah, Kip, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was good to see. They've got his back. He's certainly put in the time to win back the confidence of the group, as well as build his own confidence back up. So he plays Zardes in. Zardes, who had, of course, dropped back a little bit. Zardes gets it onto Finlay out on the right side, tries to give and go to Zardes, but Owen just kind of takes it off his foot. And again, that was not on purpose. I don't think he saw Gyasi there or kind of understood the spacing. And that's fine. Clearly you and I have.
Wasn't it Finlay?
No, it was Owen. Finlay's the one who served the ball in.
I thought Owen was the one who served the ball in.
Mm-mm. Owen's the one that took it off his foot.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
But maybe I'm wrong, and somebody correct me if I am, but I'm pretty sure, because I remember that live. We were like, like he took a goal. He took a goal.
I just remember saying, "Oh, Finlay."
Well, shit.
And I think it would make sense, right? Because when Owen pushes wide, Finlay goes in.
Yeah, but Owen wasn't pushing wide much. We'll go back to the replay. We'll fucking figure it out after this.
Cast your vote now.
Yeah, cast your vote.
Listeners, who do you believe, E or ZG?
So again, like, not Owen's best night, but luckily this did not take away that scoring chance completely, because Austin does keep possession here, and in the next minute, Danny gets taken down by Amin Bassi just outside the 18, kind of left of center there. Fagu tries to go with like a low, I don't know if this was a shot or if this was a design play trying to get it into Finlay behind the back line. Regardless, it gets kind of cleared out here, or takes a deflection at least out for a corner. Diego takes that one quick and short again to Danny. Danny has a back and forth with Gallagher, who leads Danny down towards the byline. Danny runs onto it, puts a cross in all the way from the left back to that right post, finding a wide open Julio Cascante, who buries it. Julio scores again, and the route is on. And the confetti was all used up after the third goal. So I guess we couldn't score anymore. No more confetti. Right. But there are two times where the wind has been strong enough to take confetti down onto an opposing keeper. Both times it has been on Stephen Clark's head.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is just poetry in motion right there. Oh, Steve Clark. Steve, don't ever touch Gyasi again. We don't want your stench, your filth, whatever makes you so bad. Don't get it on our players, bro. It's all we ask.
Look, man, I'm not opposed to trading for Steve Clark, right? Maybe on a free. I think Houston, maybe they need to get rid of him, man. He's garbage. So trade for Steve Clark. Look, we put him on a supplemental spot. You make him live at Q2 Stadium. Okay. Guaranteed 3 goals every time, because every time he steps foot in Q2, we score 3 and we win. We're going undefeated for the rest of our lives.
All right.
I got the plan, right?
That's the best transfer window ever.
So with Julio's goal, I wanted to pull up and shout out to the guys at the Verde Pendant, the Logans, right, and Paul. They brought up the Julio Cascante scouting report on their podcast episode this past week. And these numbers did nothing but improve, but I wanted to pull it up here because I feel like every time I listen to those guys, they're bringing at least one nugget of information to the table where I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like that's a good one. Whether it's positive or negative for Austin FC, I just think those guys are bringing some quality content. So if you haven't checked out the Verde Pendant, you get done with listening to the North End podcast, you go listen to those guys. But pulling up Julio's scouting report here on FBref, and again, how this works with their algorithm. This is kind of a comparison, right? I think you can see it there on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. So this is comparing Julio to positional peers, right? So to other center backs in men's next 8 competitions, right? So you've got kind of the Power 5, right? Like the big 5 leagues, EPL, Ligue 1, Bundesliga, etc. Next 8. So this is Julio being compared to center backs across MLS, Brazilian, Serie A, Eredivisie out there in Holland, the English Championship, Liga MX, leagues like that, right? Europa League, I believe, qualifies there. And you see it, man. Look, we've talked about throughout his injury and then with him coming back, how important Julio is to this team for the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the goal scoring. Obviously, that's been off the fucking charts here. You can see it. 97th percentile in non-penalty goals, 98th percentile in non-penalty XG, 99th percentile in total shots. I mean, this is just, it's a lot of green on this chart, right? But then you look at the passes here, right? Progressive passes, 93rd percentile. Touches, 99th percentile. This guy plays with the ball at his feet a ton. He is top 1%.
Yep.
Progressive carries, 77th percentile. Successful take on, 72nd percentile. Aerials 95th percentile. Throwing that big body around all over the field. And then you see where he comes up short compared to other center backs. His interceptions, blocks, clearances. Like, again, he's never been an all-star level defender. But the amazing value that he brings to his team is in the other phases of the game. And like we said multiple times, him missing was a huge, huge reason why the offense was sputtering earlier in the season. So again, shout out to the Verde Pendant guys causing us to take a deeper look into this, and definitely encourage everybody else there as well to look at this type of stuff, especially for our guys, because I think, sometimes it can provide that roadmap to why things are happening or not happening, and that's certainly the case here with Julio.
I mean, let's just stand Julio for a second here.
Sure.
For everything that he dealt with this week when that human tapeworm decided that he was going to be tough in some Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
And just like, oh God, just an absolutely embarrassing human being. And then on the complete opposite side of that spectrum, you have Julio Cascante, who is a warrior, who is a great dude, who, when we said, I will say this, I will never again question the offensive bump that he brings to this club, like we did earlier, because we're like, well, how are we going to score goals? And it's like, well, we're missing Julio. And it's like, all right, it's our center back, but it's a real thing. And I mean, just shout out to Julio for a masterclass effort. He has put in back-to-back games that have been fantastic. And to deal with the nonsense that he had to deal with this week in regard to the hateful abuse that he suffered, and to come out there and put on this show, man, just like, come on, hats off. Way to go, bro. Just way to go.
Yep. Well, and he said it, man. He said it on the little video he did after the match, because Seba got the official man of the match from the club, or from Yeti, whoever decides that, right? And he passed the duties off to Julio, and then Julio said on the video afterwards saying, everybody had my back this week, so wanted to come out and give back to everybody who gave him so much love this week. So well done by everybody, the club and the fans, for rallying behind him, as we should. And he did exactly what he said. He rewarded us. And then here, look, I know we 3-0 blowout, but this may have been your favorite part of the match, because Amin Bassi, foul ball, tries to put in a cross, whiffs it, and it goes out of bounds.
Ratatouille looking ass.
That was the last touch, I believe, for Amin Bassi, because in the 59th minute, Ivan Franco comes in. Top 3 hair in the league, no doubt, and a pretty saucy young player. I think both of us are fans of his, just in a vacuum, right? Caicedo also came on for Au, so that was nice to get Au out of there. 60th minute, Johnny G draws a foul on Escobar, left side of the 18, kind of near the corner. So awkward little angle here. But Diego takes it, looking again for Julio on that far side. But Houston's got 2 guys on Julio now. Like they just saw it. But it doesn't mean Julio can't sky over guys and still score. So didn't hate it. 62nd minute, Zardes and Steve Clark get tangled up a little bit with their feet, and Steve Clark shows his frustration. I think Gyasi was just like, dude, calm down, bro.
Don't touch him, Steve.
65th minute, Johnny G turns Franco around again on this left side and then splits another two defenders. And Seba kind of takes like, when I'm we're on a fast break in FIFA and I try to make a run, but I just run right into you on accident. And sometimes it results in that like read option incidental handoff. This is kind of what this was, because John like loses the handle a little bit and Seba's just kind of standing right there. So he's like, I'll take this.
Yeah.
And he turns and shoots. And that shot gets deflected out for a corner. Nothing doing on that ensuing corner. But I don't know. It gave me flashbacks to our poor FIFA performance together the other night. So just still tilting a little bit about that. We got to get back on our game, bro.
You don't got to tell the world everything, man.
I don't. Come on. I didn't say how much we lost by.
All right. Come on.
All right. We'll move on. 68th minute. Danny picks up a yellow. Back on 4 now. So we're back on Danny yellow card watch. And like, fuck, man. Like, honestly, I would have. Obviously, the best thing here is he goes another 5 matches, gets the good behavior bonus, and gets knocked back down.
Mm-hmm.
That seems, although he just did it, that seems unlikely that he's going to do it twice. So I would have loved to see him get another yellow last night if it wouldn't have thrown him out of this one with a red, just to get that suspension against Miami, because it's the weakest team coming up before Leagues Cup. So just something to keep watching. Danny on that yellow card suspension watch now. Again.
Unfortunate.
69th minute, Austin wins a corner. Kip can't get his head to it, but it falls kind of back to Diego, who slides it onto Danny. His cross from right to left finds Gyasi on the back post, and he heads it into the side netting. Of course, that side netting fools a couple people in the stadium, but good to see them continuing to push for another goal here against their rivals. 71st minute, so Houston on the break for once. It's been a minute since we talked about Houston being threatening in this game. Escobar drops it to Olfarsson. Olfarsson chips it in. Actually gets his head to it kind of around the penalty spot with some power, some velocity on this header. But it goes right to Stuver. So, again, another good night for Stuver. Not a ton for him to do. Gets called into action at the death. But 2 minutes later, Ache turns inside after another Houston buildup here. He's pressing now, trying to get something to go, because he takes a shot and he blasted that thing into row 16 of 102. 75th minute, Lima yellow card, tactical foul, deserved yellow there. Then Ache and Julio both get yellows 2 minutes later in the 77th. So again, the chippiness continued in this rivalry tilt. 80th minute, you do see Diego go off and Emiliano Rigoni come in, and he stayed on the left there. Maxi comes in for Zardes for the last 10 minutes or so. Sebas Ferreira came in for Artur in the 83rd for Houston. Not a ton of action here until stoppage time. 85th. You see Lunkovic come in for Ethan Finlay, which pushes John Gallagher up to the right wing. And then 2 minutes later, Valencia Josh used that last sub window for Valencia coming in for Danny Pereira. Then the 4th minute of stoppage time for this second time in 4 days. Rigoni out on the break with a wide open teammate after a Houston set piece has sprung Austin. It's got Maxi 2-on-1 wide open in the middle of the field, takes a heavy touch, and the Houston defender able to get it out for a throw, stopping the break. There was a couple other times too where I saw him hanging his head out there. 2 minutes later, the 6th minute of stoppage time, Olfarsson takes a free kick that Houston won right outside the top of the box, kind of left center of goal. Fantastic top-class save to close out the match here by Brad, touching that one over. That Sports Center top 10, if you ask me, on that save there from Brad.
Hell of a save.
But let's go back to Emmy here and have that discussion. Right. I mean, he has, again, maybe he can win his spot back in practice. I don't think that's happening before the next match because of how good Finlay has been.
I'd be pissed.
I
would be pissed if Finlay did not start.
Yeah. Well, and look, I believe that I brought this up on our little trade machine, the silly nonsense episode we had during the bye week. But it's like if you really want to make big sweeping changes here in the transfer window, up top in terms of our salaries, our DP spots. We've talked at length about the options you have, whether it's trading, buying down a guy like Alex Ring, maneuvering those U22 spots around. But you've got your buyout, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Emiliano Rigoni just isn't working here, maybe you buy him out. And again, I think that is very unlikely.
Yeah.
And you certainly need number 10 to sign off on that. And obviously there would be a lot of conversations between Emmy and Seba if that was actually happening. I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But crazier things have happened, right? Just in the world. That would do it. The flexibility you would have as Sean Rubio and Josh Wolff and Anthony Precourt, that trio that's apparently, kind of the hive mind here for how we're approaching this window. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that? I know this is just speculation nonsense, but.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's been weird to see the team kind of, string together these two great wins here and have him be like this kind of outlier in this whole situation. And yeah, his body language looks horrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
It looks awful. And that is something he can control on the field that he need. Like if you're dejected and you're upset and you lost your starting job, I get it, bro. But sorry, man, can't be doing that baby shit. Can't be pouting out there. That's not how this works, because while I don't think we're going to be able to get rid of him, I do think we're going to need him.
Yeah.
We're going to need him to play well. And I know everyone's on his ass right now, and rightfully so. He should be taking some heavy criticism right now. 100%. I can't argue against that, but I do think we're going to need him. And look, man, if you can do what Kip did and see the way that he handled it as a man, as a professional, then Emmy, come on, bro. Like, you got to get out of your own head. Whatever you got to do to clear your shit and like just kind of find some sort, because he doesn't even look like he's playing happy.
Right.
He's not even happy right now. So I do think getting rid of him, while it would be very beneficial to this roster and what we could do, I think it's just, not really.
I think it's a more drastic move than I think is really in the cards here. Yeah, man. I was more, because look, his 15 minutes or whatever that he played last night, I needed the rewatch more for the last 15 minutes of this match than anything. Because we're just sitting there, we're just talking shit. There's orange seats, there's orange shirts in 123. We're chirping, we're talking with it. We're having a great time. I got to be honest, last 15 minutes of the match, I did not pay as much attention as I typically do.
Correct.
We were on a high. And I was extremely discouraged by what I saw from him, because there, like you said, like you can go about this multiple ways.
You can,
and
it's your choice.
He did not approach. It didn't seem like, again, maybe there's more. Can always be more going on in his life, in the locker room, whatever. But just it was not encouraging to the naked eye.
No, and I mean, look again. There's examples of it being your choice all across the field. Look how Julio responded to his situation. Losing your starting job isn't entirely in your control. Sure. Being a little pouty baby on the pitch, that's in your control, and it makes you look bad. So he's got to get it together. And if Finlay keeps playing this way, there's no argument anymore. Just like we said when it was between G and Maxi, the argument is over. We found the starter. So if it moves like this, then yeah, man, you get left behind. Like you can get on board or you can get left behind. So I hope Seba can talk to him. Yeah. Because they have a relationship, obviously, and I hope he can say something to him. And Seba's got to be able to step away from the situation, step back and see it from a wider view. And if your friend isn't showing up and putting in the work and effort that you are, if you're trying to win, cups, you got to figure out who's really your friend then.
Yeah. Well, and you can be friends and not
Exactly. But this is a different type of friendship. There's shit really on the line, and believe it or not, if this team, crashes and burns, it'll come down more so on Seba than it would Emi Rigoni.
Yeah.
Emi Rigoni will be forgotten.
Yeah.
So someone's got to talk to him.
Yeah. Well, they have this whole week of training here to figure shit out and get his mind right? And he's got to put in that effort, and the team's got to pick him up too. Because like you said, until this roster changes, until the situation on the wing changes, we're going to need him. Whether it's a starting role or a bench role. We're
going to need him. And I don't know if anyone can sit there and say, well, yeah, I'd feel better with Redis as the backup.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone can really say that, so again, you said it a couple days ago. If everyone was judged by their worst moments, nobody could say anything in this world.
Yeah.
So wash it off, dust it off, have a good week of training, get your mind right, get back. There's still plenty of time for him to make a good contribution on this club, and we're gonna need him. Like it or not, we're gonna.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, 6-0 aggregate over our two biggest rivals in the span of 4 days. Again, Austin FC putting themselves in a spot to control their own destiny when it comes to the Copa Tejas competition this season. Go ahead.
I don't want it to get lost in the ass whooping that took place last night, but this was the hottest team in the league coming in.
One of, for sure.
I mean, their goal differential the last prior 4 games was 13-2. They scored 4-3. They scored 4-3 fucking times.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and they didn't have Karaskia anyway. So, like that, this isn't just in this matchup. So, this was one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team, that came in here, and we donked them, just like we said we would too. Don't forget about that neither. Don't let that get lost. We told you, even when we were down bad, that we wait till you come back.
Yep.
So I don't know if you told me that those Houston fans were chirping in the bathroom a little earlier.
Oh, they were trying to chant before the game and shit. It's like, okay, we'll see.
We'll see.
Motherfuckers were quiet for 90 minutes. Man. Whew, God, what a great game.
What a week.
XG on FOTMob's model last night, 1.68 for Austin, 0.62 for Houston, 10-10 in terms of total shots, 4 shots to 3 on target in favor of Austin. 8 of Austin's 10 shots came inside the box. We like to see that. Julio Cascante led the way, 8.1, got man of the match on FOTMob's model. Danny Pereira also an 8.1, Seba on an 8. Nobody lower than a 6.8 in that starting group last night. Josh, press conference went a little bit longer than normal because he had a couple things to say. Obviously he talked about, he gave the typical win or loss appreciation, to the fans. But then he said, kind of what we hinted at on Wednesday, like the Wednesday win does not mean much if you don't come in and win on Saturday. And he said that. He said, we validated Wednesday's win with tonight's performance. And he talked kind of about the last 2 months as well. He said, the month of May was really taxing. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't awesome. I think they were 4-4-1 in that month. And then he said, when you're missing the spine of your team, it makes it challenging. And pointed out, again, rightfully so, we were able to utilize some different structures and shapes. But we continue to look to improve because this is not a finished product because the season is not over. So, man, I'm excited to see them continue to go on this 2023 journey as they seem to be figuring some things out here headed into, the hottest months of the season.
I'm also incredibly excited about the trajectory that we have right now. We have a long ways to go. Nobody is saying anything is done. The job is not finished. What we're trying to do has not been accomplished. But let's take a moment and tip our hat to this staff and to every single man on that roster for keeping this, besides Amrotar, but for keeping this season afloat, because this season could very well be over at this point. with what we had to deal with earlier. And I'm talking about every single dude on the roster. Rodney Redis, who stepped up, players who came in and were put into positions that they're either not talented enough for yet or are not ready for yet. And they still went out there and they played hard. And we talked about the games where things were bad and the team looked dejected, and that happens. Yeah. But for the better part of this season, this team has fought tooth and nail, played with who they had. That wasn't Dallas's B team, right? Or their F team or their C team, right? Yeah. Okay. That was Houston. Okay. Yeah. So good. So like we have done this, and the adversity that we went through earlier in this season, I think made this team stronger. I think it made them more connected. It made them hungrier because look, we would be remiss to not say that this team didn't come into this season and think that they were hot shit. Yeah. And you drop a game to an expansion side at home with a lead late, and you get a real quick dose of reality. And then things start hitting you left and right, things you can't even account for. And this team, they kept fighting. The narrative out of the locker room has been positive before this. It was still positive. The shit that we were saying, it was positive. It was, we're still working. We're getting there. We got to keep going. And again, this is not mean by, and I'm not taking a fucking season-long victory lap. I'm just saying we kept this fucking season alive. We had to do a lot of things that probably made the coaching staff uncomfortable because it's not what they want to play. It's not how they want to play. And if you don't like Josh, if you love Josh, he got better in that time frame. And he learned new things, not only about how this team can operate, but about himself and the coaching style that he needs to have to continue to move this team forward. And I am definitely excited. Yeah. And, that could partially because this is one of the best weeks to be an Austin FC fan in our short-term history here. Yeah. But shit, we kept this season alive and we have put ourselves in a position. We're in 8th right now. We didn't move up. We did not move a spot. Yeah. And that's okay. There's a lot of clubs right now that are in the thick of it with us. Yeah. And again, when you see a healthy Fagu, you see a healthy Seba, you see the potential connection between Seba and Gyasi, we can play with a lot of teams.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean we talked about it on Thursday's episode with Ribbinator, right? When we were looking at the standings, that like this game was a must-win because it was going to eliminate the gap between 8th and 7th. There was that 4-point gap, so we knew we weren't moving up with a win. Yeah, but you got the 3 points, and now if you look at the standings, Austin FC sitting on 25 points with 19 games played. Again, like you said, 8th place in the West. They're 2 points back of the 4 seed, right? 2 points back. 4 seed is hosting a home first-round playoff round, right? Which is what the fucking bar was for everybody at the beginning of the season. Yeah. We've got 15 games left. We need to make up 2 points. Again, this is a long road to go.
Facts.
But look, last 8 matches for Austin FC in the league, they've got 15 points earned from those 8, right? That over a full season, that's 63 points, right? We finished with 56 last year. But, of course, you can't just take 1 quarter of a season. We've learned that over the first 2 years. You can't just take 1 quarter of a season and think that that's how it's going to play out. Look at a team like Seattle right now. Started hot, scorching hot. They're stuck on 29 points right now.
Struggling.
They haven't had a win. I mean, Seattle has scored 0 goals in 5 of their last 7 games, right? But do you think that Seattle is out of it?
No.
Fuck no.
Of course not.
So, and shout out to Tim Thompson for this stat in terms of the goals scored. Got that from him. Austin has scored at least 1 goal in each of their last 8 consecutive games. Before that streak, Austin had trouble scoring goals and had 5 games where they had not scored at all. Only 2 teams currently have better scoring streaks. Columbus has scored 1 goal in each of their last 10, and Vancouver 1 in each of their last 9. So again, a lot of things are pointing to this team turning around, and that 8-game stretch where we've got 15 points, that started with Diego still working his way back, with Seba still out. And so the success there have been some speed bumps, right? The RSL loss at home was painful. The SKC loss was one of the lowest points of our fandom, if not the lowest point so far through this club's young history. But taking a wider view, which is maybe what we should change the name of this podcast to. They're doing really well, man. And you look at between us in 8th and Houston in 4th, 2 of those teams we have a game in hand on. San Jose has played one more game. They're 2 points ahead of us. Real Salt Lake has played one more game. They're 2 points ahead of us. Seattle up there in 3rd at 29 points. We have a game in hand on them. So all things in these standings are not equal. And man, it is shaping up for us being in a race for a top 4 spot.
Mm-hmm. Home
That's great to see.
It's amazing. And shit, from everything we talked about on the way up to the game last night, and you've seen rumors circling. Why can't I say
circulating?
Circling.
Okay.
Circling other clubs. Obviously, you see some signings. You get the Chicho signing. Obviously, the Messi, the Busquets, all of this other stuff.
Yeah, all that shit.
That happened around the league. We've been pretty close to the chest with what we're doing on the back end. But a man who is in those rooms and in those discussions has publicly stated, a man who chooses his words carefully when he deals with the media, that we are working hard to get better at the transfer window. So we also potentially have reinforcements on the way. Talent upgrades, more depth, Leo getting healthy. So encouraging, job not finished by any means, but shit, if we're hosting a home playoff game,
well, we're going to host one regardless, right? It's just, do you have the home field advantage of hosting games 1 and 3?
Yes.
And then again, the higher you climb up the seeds, the more home games you're going to get if you continue throughout the tournament. So yeah, I mean, Wolff also, had some things to say about the style of play. He's like, man, we get a lot of grief from local media on how much we cross. And we've been one of the most dangerous teams in the league off our set pieces for a while now. Like, that was the case last year too. And now we're finally seeing that, start to click. So that's great to see as well. He also touched on Radovanovic and, gave him praise. And we saw nothing but praise. And so obviously we heard whispers of, maybe Josh and Rado don't get along. We know that his wife is a big factor. His family is a big factor in this decision. We saw her talking about it publicly. Josh referenced it last night. He was like, this is a decision for him and his wife. I'm sad to see him go, but to me, it doesn't end our season or anything, because when we're healthy, this guy's our 3rd center back. He ain't a starter. And again, I think he's starting quality in this league, but that combined with the injury issues, guy needs surgery. He may not have been able to make it through the season. So again, while I don't like to see him go, I'm thanking him and moving forward.
Yep, absolutely. Thanking him, and just sad that we can't see what it could have really looked like with him. An energetic, boisterous defender who the fans love, sacrifices his body. That's some shit people can get behind. And the fans I don't know if other than Seba, someone coming in like that and, garnering such, attention from the fans. So best of luck to him. Happy for his time in the Verde and Black. Sad he's not with us, but we press on, baby.
Yeah, his farewell to the fans on his Instagram said, "I came and met good people, felt Texas and its culture, worked in a great club with great fans, and felt welcome from the very beginning. I'm proud and honored to have been part of this family for a few months, and I did the best I could to represent and fight for your colors on the field. Every moment at Q2 was special for me and will be remembered for a long time. Now it's time to go home. Thank you for everything. I'm no longer a player, but I remain a supporter." And that's, man, I'm going to remain a supporter of Alexander Radovanovic as well, wherever his next stop is. And hopefully he's got something lined up, because we know his mother club, right? Things weren't going great for him there last time he was there. So hopefully bigger and better things ahead for Rado. Josh also, he talked about Rigoni getting benched. He said, and this was like straight up, and I was, man, you could put a little counter on the bottom of the screen on how many times he said perform in this clip, but
yeah,
he's straight up giving it to you as it is. Talking about Rigoni. He knows he needs to perform better. We've got a group that's performing right now. When you perform, you play. When you don't perform, you don't play. And when your opportunity comes, you've got to perform. That's just the way this works. And
that's how it worked with Ethan Finlay before, because he was also not performing.
Yeah.
And he got his opportunity when Emmy was not performing, and Ethan ran with it, and Emmy has not.
Yeah.
And that is on Emiliano Rigoni.
Yeah.
That is on him.
I'm sure some people would say, it's overdue that we bench Rigoni. And look, maybe, but these guys are they're handling it well in the face of adversity, not just from the things that are coming at them with bad injury luck, some poor luck in some of these games, some poor form in some of these games,
some coaching mistakes, some errors, all things that happen throughout a season.
Let's move on here. A couple pieces of news before we get into last business day, because big match against Tacoma Defiance here tonight on Sunday out there in the Pacific Northwest. We saw, MLS come out with Adidas, say there's going to be this Marvel crossover. It looked like it was going to be maybe for just a couple select teams in the All-Star game, nothing too cool. But then the club comes out and says, hey, Austin FC Marvel crossover coming. So I don't think I have super high hopes for this. And even if something cool does come out, it's going to put a dent in my wallet if it's something that I want. I think like best case scenario for me, like as a fan, Marvel fan, Austin FC fan, maybe we get a Groot themed jersey or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what could it be?
Yeah, Hulk themed jersey maybe, but we already had the Groot Tifo.
Marvel?
I think is Groot?
No, Hulk. I don't know anything about this shit.
Oh, I think he is.
Okay.
What
about Green Lantern?
I think that's DC.
Okay. All right.
I think.
You can get some good stats from Verde Pendant. You learn the little things about superheroes here on the podcast.
Stay tuned for the definitive weather rankings on Wednesday's pod.
I need another jersey. I was thinking about it today. I was like, it's between G and Danny for me right now with who I'm going to get. Maybe I'll just get one of Coach's green polos and wear that around and write Wolff on the back. And just be standing like this.
Yeah. I'll get an official's costume and you can yell at me like the fourth official. So yeah, I think we're probably just going to get something like pretty simple here in terms of the Marvel crossover, but looking forward to seeing what it is.
I'll take a look.
Yeah. And again, Radovanovic out. The center back rumors persist. Josh told us as much. Said, I think he said his words were, I think we've got plates spinning, so to speak. And he referenced we could be looking at international center back help from the league, from within the league. And I think there's potential for maybe both, depending on how they approach this window.
And that's part of the reason why we're gonna need Emmy later, because the sensible upgrade in depth position to be adding is on the back line, is that center back. So if you can get another piece that works there in that center back position, and whatever you're going to get out of Emmy, you're going to need it. So I hope team's active. And again, look, at this point, it's in, the club's Bible that we don't throw guys onto the pitch quick. Yeah. It takes some time. So no matter who we get, it's going to take a little time to get them acclimated. We're going to still have to hold down the fort with Julio and hopefully this Alex Ring situation, which I think we should touch on a little bit because the conspiracy theories for me, have started to go off a little bit. I've started to speculate and wonder what's going on. It was like he was playing through this. He played multiple games on this groin.
Yeah.
And then
look, and I love putting on the tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think there's anything crazy going on here with it. I think he's legit injured because they wouldn't have just pulled him out of that match against SKC if he wasn't legit hurt, right?
Yep.
But I also don't think, again, we've talked about Alex Ring being somebody who could not just be bought down here in the summer window, but could potentially be moved and probably has the most trade value out of anybody who you could consider even a little bit expendable on this roster, because he's somebody that can go into another team in this league and help a team that's pushing towards a cup.
Especially if you need him in his right position.
Exactly, and that's the thing that we don't need right now.
We don't need him in that position.
Like, would he be good? Of course. That's his natural position. Yes. But then you're taking off a Danny, an Owen. You're not playing a Johan Valencia or a Sophie Jaffel. We're deep at that position right now. So, again, that's something to watch. And, again, about the center backs, you know that I take in maybe the most Austin FC content out of everybody, watch everybody like a hawk. I think we are Austin TV. Obviously, they break a lot of that news that's not broken by like national pundits, but I think I get the feeling they're on top of what this center back rumor is, and that when the time is right, I'm waiting for those guys. So I'm excited to see, once that smoke, not the Verde smoke, but the rumor smoke starts to really show. That's when we're going to start having fun, I think, here in this summer window.
All right, keep the eye on We Are Austin TV.
Yeah.
Shout out Primo, man.
Yeah, it was fun to see those guys back.
I hope you like drunk hugs, Primo.
Yeah. If you did, it didn't matter. We were giving them out like hotcakes last night.
Every time I see a win, lose, or draw, I'm just drunk, dab him up, big old hug.
Yep. That's our boy. Shout out Primo. We did get, let's jump into last business day here. We did just get the starting lineup for Austin FC 2 at Tacoma Defiance tonight. Damien in net, of course. Obviously, Kip not with the team. They flew out to Seattle or the Seattle area there yesterday. So we've got the Mazzaferro Hafferty center back pairing. Captain Joe, of course, with the armband. Charlie on the left. Czech on the right. You've got Alonso Ramirez in there in the defensive half. Steve Louis-Jean paired with Valentin Noel. CJ out on the left. Micah on the right. And then Sebastian Pignot up top. But two things that jumped out to me first with this lineup was actually the bench. EJ Johnson back in the team. Nice. Love to see that after the 2-game absence. Again, we don't get injury reports. I think it was probably a concussion based on what we watched against Whitecaps too. But regardless of what it was, having EJ back out there, great for the team. And then Bovasi. Bobo is back from international duty off the bench tonight. So that's good to see as well. Joining those two on the bench, Vela, Valti, Ocampo Chavez, Pinkham, and of course Eric Lopez backing up Damian Las.
No David?
No David. No, Rodriguez not there.
Not on the team.
Not in the team. That's interesting. Maybe we'll find out more after.
Not traveling, just getting the day off.
I guess so. I mean, hopefully it's something, like a personal thing he had to go to, I don't know, sister's wedding or something. Yeah. Could be getting the day off, but I think you bring him, though. This is a big game.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe we'll hear
something.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll hear something on the broadcast. Maybe there's some information about why Rodriguez isn't in the team.
Okay.
But so we're going to do what we've done the last couple episodes here. We're going to go watch this match and then come back and recap it late night here, 9 p.m. Central start. So let's go Austin FC 2. And what is mere seconds for you is about 3 hours for us. So we'll see you on the other side. Well, not the best result tonight for FC 2. But they battled, even down a man, through some tough calls. So let's run through that here quickly. Obviously, we talked about the reaction to the lineup. No info on David, but maybe we'll be able to figure that out. And again, like you said, could have been a routine day off. But out there in Tacoma tonight, let's go ahead and get into it. Third minute here. Tacoma, I keep wanting to say Seattle. Tacoma, really sitting back right from the start, letting Austin have the possession, packing it in, and trying to hit them on the counter. Mm-hmm. Third minute, Valentin gets fouled 15 yards outside the 18. Czech and CJ line up over it as we've seen them do the last couple times out. Czech plays it on the ground over to Ramirez on the right. He crosses it back towards that left side near the 6. And his cross actually gets headed back towards the spot by an Austin player, but Tacoma able to clear it out. And I thought it looked like they had that one scouted pretty well.
I thought it was a nice play regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
You're looking for that header back towards the net there, and I think it was a little short. I don't know who got their head on it, but look, we said they were going to be ready for us. They were ready for us. They wanted to play a very certain particular way against us. They did. They executed their game plan. Hats off to them.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that's a good team. They'll be in that top 4 or 5 with us by season's end. They'll be in the playoffs as well. I imagine, bro, what you're working on as a team with FC2, Austin FC2 coming in, like you're working on our set pieces. You're looking at that film. You're walking through it on the pitch. Because again, from the first team on down, that's where we live. We heard about Brian Ariano's brother being a master of free kicks with the U12s. That's a plus for all of our teams. It seems at the moment. 11th minute here, Czech Toure kind of gets some space, winds up from like 5 yards outside the box, and has a go. And the Tacoma keeper able to make a diving save and then corral it, but. It was, again, we continue to see Czech take his chances when he gets the opportunity in the offensive third. And that was a tough save. Like that was potentially going in if that keeper didn't get his hands on that.
That was a hell of a rip. And it's been great to watch Czech evolve a little bit and kind of, show different wrinkles of his game.
Yeah. 17th minute, CJ played through on the left side by Valentin, and CJ kind of winds up to shoot with the left. Tacoma defenders able to slide in at the last second and block it out for a corner. Nothing doing on that ensuing corner. 4 minutes later, best Tacoma chance yet. Their winger, I don't recall who it was, but a Tacoma winger gets to the byline, crosses it towards Rothrock in the middle. And again, Rothrock, I believe 2 appearances with the first team this year with the Sounders, including the 3 appearances, including the game winner in Houston. So again, we talked about how before Houston had played San Jose on Wednesday, that only 2 teams had scored a goal on them. Austin was one, had 1 goal, and Paul Rothrock with the game winner was the second. So Rothrock here is the target for that Tacoma cross. And I thought Austin did a good job as a team not to just get ahead to it in that duel with Rothrock. But then it took multiple headers and, winning a duel to really get control of this ball and get it out of the dangerous area. And there was some good communication, guys covering for each other on that possession. So that was good to see. 26th minute, Steve Louis-Jean, congrats again to Steve on signing the full professional contract with FC2. That he's going to be here at least through the end of the season. He wins it back in the Tacoma half and touches it onto Micah, who is charging towards the area on the right there. Micah finds his angle, aims for the back post, and goes just wide of the target. And look, Micah, as young as he is a professional, so we're going to critique him just like we do all these other guys. I thought it wasn't his best night, but this was probably his most dangerous chance, and he was, again, just about a foot off.
Yeah, I thought he was threatening. I thought that after a slow start, he kind of turned it around a little bit there and found himself in some pretty dangerous positions. He had a tough matchup on that side there with Sissoko looming. And a good experience for Micah there. He did turn on a little bit, I feel like, and this was a great shot.
Yeah. And I think the most important point was what you brought up, the matchup there. He's got the toughest one on the pitch.
Absolutely.
Sissoko is he may not be the best center back in this league, but he is the most physically imposing, and we know the talent is there. He's one of the guys that has stood out to us most throughout this first half of, the first Next Pro season that we've ever watched.
I was surprised at how much speed he also had, because there was a couple times where he turned it on and he was almost stride for stride with Micah, if not better.
Dude, he's a specimen. I mean, he took the PK down in Austin, remember? Like, blasted that thing.
Yep.
So after that shot, I think this is the next possession. Tacoma goes the other way, and then their left wing, Herrera, cuts through 2 Austin defenders and kind of floats a shot that almost looked like it could have been a cross. But regardless, like this ball is on frame, and it kind of just floats right into the hands of Damian. 4 minutes later, Herrera again putting in a cross to a dangerous area that's put out by Hafferty. The ensuing throw gets to Rothrock, and he's kind of trying to drive baseline, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And there's contact between him and Asensio.
Mm-hmm.
And a PK is given here, but man, did it feel soft. And look, for Next Pro, we only have that broadcast angle, which is at the middle of the field. We don't have VAR. We don't have replays outside of the replays they can show from that angle. So it's tough to say with certainty, with authority, that this was soft. But from the angle we had, and again, through our Verde colored glasses, it looks soft.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was soft. There was a lot of physicality there. Rothrock was really using his body as well. I thought Charlie could have at least let up a little bit in that situation, but a harsh call, in my opinion. A harsh call, and sometimes they go against you.
Yeah. Or sometimes you don't get them at all, like the first team. So Rodriguez, their leading scorer, he steps up, puts it past Damian, who guessed the wrong way there. First goal conceded in June for FC2. They had gone more than 400 minutes since they last conceded a goal. So, it was going to come to an end at some point. And it does here from the spot.
Did he play in the first game?
Who's that?
Did Rodriguez play in the first game?
Oh, that's a good question. I've got it right here, so I can find out in a few seconds. Lineups from that first game.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he was. I think you focused a little bit more of your attention and ire towards Bjorgolfersen or whatever his name was. So Rodriguez was the left wing in that match as well, but you had Bjorgolfersen up top and Rothrock on the right. And again, Danny Leyva was in that game. Like, they looked a little bit different in that one. So 38th minute here, obviously Austin, plenty of time here to try to get an equalizer on the road. Austin wins a free kick on the right sideline outside the box. CJ whips it in. Tacoma able to get ahead to it, put it over the crossbar out for a corner. Czech takes that one short to Ramirez, and Rothrock comes and picks his pocket. Rothrock sprints all the way down, one-on-one with Loss, and luckily he puts it wide right. But another moment where it's, creating these chances, the counters, Tacoma was dangerous with that, the way they were defending. And you said it right after they got the PK goal. It was like, now they're really going to sit back and commit to this. That was about it for the first half. Then we see Bobo come on for Steve at the half. 51st minute, Charlie plays CJ through down the left side. CJ's cross is deflected back out. Austin stays in possession, but Tacoma ends up being able to clear that away too. 4 minutes later, Ramirez crosses it in. Noel puts it back across from the left to the right across the face of goal, and a Seattle defender runs right through the back of Sebastian Pignot. No call. And look, I don't think that this was 10 times out of 10, 100% a PK, but given how the first one was called for Tacoma, that was tough. That was a tough no call, man. Like, I don't see much of a difference. Like, again, I'm biased towards Austin, but I felt like there was more contact there than there was on the PK that was actually given.
And they were pissed. They were upset. And yeah, to your point, if the first one was a PK, then that one has to be a PK. It's too big of a call to not make after you've already made one there. So disappointing. But I mean, again, to that Rothrock miss, they could have easily won this game 3-0.
Sure. Yeah.
But tough no call, and we press on.
So 58th minute here, Rodriguez gets free down the left as Czech goes down. I think both of us were like, oh, cramps. Rodriguez makes a move to get in on Loss, and Damian has some great timing here. to come out and slide and cover the ball. But on the replay, man, and Czech stays down. On the replay, it's non-contact, and he comes off the pitch, ends up getting subbed. Valti comes on for Touré, and Czech has his jersey over his head walking off the field, and that does not look good.
Yeah, but he didn't look like he was walking gingerly at all, though, right? Like, he looked like he was walking fine. I was confused, but I'm definitely concerned because, like you said, not contact. That's it's never good.
Yeah,
the grunt demon could spread.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They can permeate leagues.
And groin demon can bring its friends too. I don't know. So hoping good news on the way for Czech, and obviously wishing him a speedy recovery if he needs one.
Mm-hmm.
So Valti comes in for Czech. That moves Alonso Ramirez to center back and Joe Hafferty back out to right back. 62nd minute, Austin takes advantage of a turnover near midfield. CJ streaks with the ball down the left side. He crosses it in. Pinot he did attempt a bicycle kick here, but it was headed away before the ball could get to him. It falls to Valentin, and he volleys a rocket.
Yeah.
Just wide right. 68th minute, Vela in for Micah Burton. Then 73rd minute, ATX again winning the ball near midfield to start a break. This time a 4-on-3. Pinot's got the ball. He tries to play Vela in behind Sissoko down the right, and Vela can't quite get around the giant center back there to get a clean shot off. And the keeper scoops it up.
It's late, man.
Yeah, we've been sitting here for a while. 77th minute. Austin wins a corner. Hafferty takes it, and it floats right into the keeper's hands. So, again, you see Austin, Tacoma, even with the 1-0 lead, content to sit back and absorb the pressure from Austin and take their chances still on the counter.
And Joe had a run.
Yeah, well, and I also think –
But then you push him out to the right, and he looked a little better.
Yeah, that's a natural position, right? He's more comfortable out there.
For sure. I just thought that he had some mistakes in the first half that were very uncharacteristic. And I know he's a leader, and I know that he's a guy who's going to bounce back. Just wasn't his best game.
Well, it's his old stomping grounds, too. So maybe there's a little bit more emotion in it for him, too.
For sure.
In this one, obviously, Joe coming over from Tacoma, he and Afonso Ocampo Chavez. 2 minutes later. What's that?
We got to address what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, he comes in eventually, right, and actually came in, I believe, for Charlie in the dying embers of this one. But I mean, Pinot is clearly the choice at the top.
Yeah,
we've known that for a couple games now. And just like looking at it from a first team perspective, I think all of our first team guys that are down with FC2 should be starting game in and game out. And I'm not saying that as Coach Utley put him in. I'm saying I'm worried that our first team guy is not winning the job with FC2. And look, if you can't do that, that doesn't mean you're like automatically cut, but it's not a good sign. Because you're taking up a first team roster spot, and the best teams in this league utilize all 30 to the best of their ability. And part of this is on the front office for the first team too. Our roster efficiency is not great.
No.
And I'm not picking on AOC here. This is the roster as a whole, just
Correct.
using that spot as an example. So look, man, whatever's going on, because we're fans.
Yeah.
We thought he was great through the first however many games that he started this season. So whatever's going on there, man, I hope he gets back out there, gets another opportunity soon, in the 11 to go out there and make a statement.
And
like Josh said, go out there and perform when you get your opportunity.
And Pinot's been more than good.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's played really well. So, I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, 79th minute here. Long ball from Tacoma sees their starting striker tonight, whose name was Miglietti, kind of in a foot race with Sal and Ramirez, tries to kind of split them. And Damian comes out here in no man's land. And you could tell indecisive, didn't really know what to do once he got out there because all four of these guys kind of converge, and Damian ends up kind of slamming into Sal. And it looked like, I think our best guess was maybe wind knocked out of him. But we're sitting here like, man, if Sal has to go out, all of a sudden Austin FC2 has no center backs.
Yeah, I mean, right. It looked like when you're playing like Tekken or like Mortal Kombat, and you just like hit every button at once, and they just do like, because he just launched himself.
Yeah, he did
at the very last moment too, where it was like, there's actually space here where we can avoid this.
Well, I think he was trying to just get his head to the ball.
I think he was trying to head it, yes.
Yeah, but
it did
Sal's
not,
right in the way.
It did not work. He did not pass right through his body.
So Sal stays in for the rest of the match, so that was good to see.
Yeah.
And then 82nd minute here, Jackson Valti, I forget which Tacoma forward he was racing here on the break, but Tacoma's on the counter. They come together. There's contact outside the box. That contact continues into the box. Valti pulls him down. And so not only is the penalty awarded, but a straight red, which is probably the right call there. But again, the fact that we didn't get it, I'm just hung up on the foul on Pino, or the non-call.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Valti gets sent off here. Ovea actually takes the PK and puts it wide. So still 1-0. And so they're still very much in it, but down a man. Now we're adjusting on the fly, and we're already down center backs because Kip's not there. And
yeah, and I mean, offensively, that second half, they had really packed it in and really just kept the ball. Like, they were content to allow us to play the ball up the sides, get on the sideline. They were not allowing passes into the middle of the pitch. And even though there was, chances and opportunities, we didn't really have like a good, nice one in this second half here. And neither did they, to our credit. And to our defense played fantastic. And, just getting this straight red here. I think it was only a straight red because he was last man. But just tough. Yeah, tough.
86th minute. Guys did not quit. CJ wins a free kick here about 15 yards outside the box on the left. That free kick is dangerous across the face of goal. But there's 3 mint-colored jerseys there. Nobody can quite get a touch. After that goes out, AOC does come in for Asensio to close this one out. 5 minutes of extra time. In that 5th minute, Austin does win a corner at the death, but Tacoma able to clear it out. No threat there from Austin, and that's the end of the match. So 1-0 loss on the road to a Tacoma team that, again, is one of the top teams in this next pro league. Guys will be back in action on Friday on the road again. Real Monarchs going to the elevation. While Real Monarchs is not Tacoma or Rapids 2 or any of those, they're not a top 3 team. Going to the elevation. It's going to be tough to play there. And a short week because they play on Friday. So, again, these guys they have plenty of time to recover, but, 2 less days than your typical week. Any other thoughts from you closing this game out?
Lost to a good team. Didn't have our best night. Is what it is. Got to move on to this next one here. No Valti. Hippie's not coming back. Unless there's some sort of catastrophic incident again, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think he's going to be ever back down there.
Let's hope, man. I'm not going to wood there.
Yeah. So just a tough one, and going to be another tough test here versus Real, and we just got to bounce back.
Yeah, no question. And the guys, concede the PK or the penalty goal. Coming up, I think, on 500 minutes without conceding in open play. So, the team's still playing well. Outside of the PK, they didn't give up shit.
Absolutely. Tacoma did not have much outside of the first breakaway there with
Rockwell.
So, I am interested to see, because that was a bit of a blueprint, right, on how to play us and defend us. So, interested to see how we kind of react to that, if other teams try to implement it, if other teams are even talented enough to play us that style and, disciplined enough to do that. But yeah, they definitely took away the middle of the field from us. And, I feel like barely even heard Valentin's name, because he was really taken out of this game because of their style. So tough one, boys. We'll bounce back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Real Monarchs on Friday, then a sparse July schedule for FC2, just 3 matches. Dynamo Dos will come to town in a couple weeks, then back to Colorado for another away match against Rapids 2. We play them 3 times, but they don't come to our house till September. And then Galaxy 2 is what we close out July with. We go Galaxy 2, then LAFC 2 back to back, and those are the 2 teams in the bottom of the Western Conference standings. So, variety of quality in terms of the teams over the next 5 games here on the schedule. Excited for it, man. And these guys are going to get plenty of rest over this time. Hopefully between Dynamo Dos and Rapids 2, they get, it's 2 weeks between those games. Hopefully they get some R&R, get to go see some family, some friends, rest and relax a little bit during that break. But, we'll be watching again on Friday, 9 p.m. Central against Real Monarchs. And we will preview that match on Wednesday's episode. We will be back in the studio. Producer Sheriff on the 1s and 2s. Excited to record in person. We always have a blast when we do that. And the last thing I did want to say, just kind of, I think we glossed over it, even though we did talk. We talked more about what are the possibilities of Alex Ring moving or his roster designations being changed, and didn't really address the update. I mean, it's kind of a non-update from Josh, a non-update in the press conference when he said we're hopeful for Alex's availability soon, but did not put a timeline on it. So, well, hopefully we get more information on that as this week unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be really, really nice.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on another lengthy edition of the North End Podcast, episode 67, our double Copa Tejas W episode. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, help us grow the pod. You can hit the notification bell to know when a new episode pops up or a live stream goes live. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel for this episode, hit the thumbs up button, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the tears of the Dynamo fans. We will be back on Wednesday previewing Austin FC2's matchup against Inter Miami. We will be previewing Austin FC2's trip out to Real Monarchs in Utah. And of course, have all the usual nonsense baked in there. Man. Maybe we got some legit rumors to talk about on Wednesday. It's that time of year. So looking forward to it, my friend. Appreciate everybody once again for being here. Enjoy the beginning of your week. It's going to be nice to have a full week now to enjoy the 2 results that we just had. Hope you do it with us, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.